Good morning, students. Today, let us start one more new chapter called Magnetism and Matter. Magnetism and Matter. What do you mean by magnetism? The property of a substance to attract iron, nickel, cobalt like substances is called magnetism. The property of a substance to attract iron, nickel, cobalt like substances is called magnetism. In the olden days, the first magnetic property was observed by a shepherd man. He observed certain stones which are capable to attract iron filings in the sand. The first natural magnet is lodestone. Later, we developed certain artificial magnets. Generally, they are made with iron, nickel, cobalt like substances. Such artificial magnets are having much magnetic property than the naturally occurring lodestone like materials. Generally, the property magnetism arises due to the motion of electrons around the nucleus. As you know that every atom consists of a positive charged nucleus. Around that, negative charged electrons are revolving in circular orbits. This electron is rotating around its own axis and it is also rotating around the nucleus. The rotation of electron around its own axis is called spin motion. This is called orbital motion. In both the cases, as the electron is a charged particle, as it is rotating, you can imagine certain current is moving. Whenever there is some current carrying conductor, or whenever there is some flow of charge, it is associated with some magnetic field. So the orbital motion of electron as well as spin motion of an electron inside an atom leads to the development of magnetic field or magnetic behavior of the atom. So each and every atom which is having unpaired electrons, paired electrons are there means in every orbital, if two electrons are there means one is having clockwise spin, another one is having anti-clockwise spin, hence net magnetic moment becomes zero. Only we are interested on unpaired electrons. Those unpaired electrons which are having spin motion as well as orbital motion leads to the development of certain magnetic property for atom. So each atom which is having certain magnetic behavior is represented as a magnet called atomic magnet and is represented by a small arrow mark. If a molecule you consider, it's composed of so many atoms. Every atom is constituting a certain magnetic field. Hence, the total magnetic field executed by the molecule is called molecular magnetism or molecular magnet. It is also represented as an arrowhead like this. Here, arrowhead represents North Pole and other tail represents South Pole. Suppose if you consider an iron or nickel or cobalt block like this, each and every atom consists of certain magnetic moment or certain magnetic field, and these magnetic field vectors are randomly distributed in different directions. These magnetic field vectors are randomly distributed in different directions. Individually, every atom is behaving like a tiny magnet, but all together this iron substance is having zero net magnetic moment. This iron substance is having zero net magnetic moment since they are randomly distributed. If we make all the molecular magnets or atomic magnets to align themselves in a proper order like this, then all north poles are one side, leads to the development of a north pole on this side. All south poles are on the other side, leads to the development of south pole on other side. It behaves as a magnet. It doesn't behave as a magnet. This is called non-magnetic substance or unmagnetized substance. Unmagnetized substance. This is called magnetized substance. What is the difference between unmagnetized substance and magnetized substance? We aligned all the molecular magnets or atomic magnets into one order. There are different methods for doing this. Single touch method, double touch method, electrical method, induction method. There are different methods. Whatever method you follow, the main purpose of the method is to align the molecular magnets or atomic magnets into a proper order. Such an arrangement of atoms or molecules leads to the development of magnetic behavior inside a substance. Hence this iron piece, this is ordinary iron piece, this is magnetized iron piece. The difference is like this. Why we have to designate a north pole and south pole? Why can't you call them as east or west? That is because whenever we suspend a magnet with a thread, it aligns itself into the geographic north and south directions. Hence, the two poles are designated as north pole and south pole. As the freely suspended magnet is tilting itself into the geographic north and south direction, the poles of the magnet are designated as north and south. So finally, the conclusion is like this. Every substance is consisting of so many atoms. Every atom consists of some paired electrons, some unpaired electrons. Paired electrons will not contribute magnetic field. Unpaired electrons will contribute magnetic field due to their spin motion as well as orbital motion. So each and every atom will behave as a tiny magnet. These tiny magnets are represented with small arrow marks. The arrowhead represents north pole, the tail represents south pole. All these atomic magnets are randomly distributed in an unmagnetized substance. If you take an ordinary iron piece, in ordinary iron piece, all the atomic magnets are randomly distributed. By single touch method means by taking one magnet, if you touch it in a clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction in regular intervals of time, which will make the atomic magnets to align in one order. Either single touch method or double touch method or induction method, or you can follow electrical method. Whatever method you follow, if you align all the atomic magnets into proper order, it develops certain magnetic field inside the substance. So this is behaving as a magnet. So every magnet consists of two poles. If I cut the magnet, what will happen? If I want to separate the two poles, is it possible? No. Always magnetic poles exist as pair. If you cut the magnet here, again north pole will be developed here, again south pole will be developed here. Each and every piece consists of again north pole and south pole, north pole and south pole. So it is not possible to isolate the poles. Isolated north pole and south pole will not exist. Whereas isolated positive charge and negative charge exists in case of electrostatics. In case of magnetism, magnetic poles always exist as pairs. So this property is called pair property. And whenever we suspend a magnet with a thread, the freely suspended magnet tilt itself or orient itself into geographic north and south direction. This property is called directionality property. And every magnet is having capability to attract iron, nickel, cobalt like substances. Such property is called attractive property. And how to test whether the given object is magnetized or unmagnetized? Suppose you are given an iron piece as well as one magnet. Both are having same shape, same size, everything. But one is magnet, another one is ordinary iron piece. How to identify which one is magnet and which one is iron piece? If you bring one more magnet here, it will be attracted by this iron piece. But it will be repelled because north pole, like poles always repel each other, unlike poles always attract each other. Like poles always repel each other. What is the reason behind it? I will tell you the reason also. For time being, north pole and north pole repel each other. So the piece which is getting attracted in any direction, if you turn it, then also it will get attracted. But if you turn it in this position, it is getting repelled. If you turn it, north pole and south pole will attract each other. So in one direction it is getting attracted, in another direction it is getting repelled. Such an object is called a magnet. In any direction if it is getting attracted by the external magnet, such a piece is considered as unmagnetized piece or unmagnetized iron piece. Hence repulsion is the surest test for identification of magnetism in a body. Repulsion is the surest test for identification of magnetism in a body. So this is about the fundamental ideas about the magnetism. Now, how to deal with this magnet in real scenario? Let us understand. Already in the last class, we discussed the concept of magnetic moment. Once again, I will take up that idea here. Once again, I will take up that idea here. If you observe clearly, if suppose this is a magnetized substance, all the atomic magnets are arranged in one order. Due to the orientation of all these atomic magnets into a proper order, some north pole got developed here and south pole got developed here. The poles are located just interior to the edge of the magnet. The separation between the two poles is called length of the magnet and is designated with 2L. Length of the magnet is designated with 2L. And as per geometry, the distance between the two edges is called geometric length. This length is called geometric length of the magnet. This length is called magnetic length of the magnet. Geometric length is the separation between the two edges of the magnet, whereas magnetic length is the separation between the two poles of the magnet. How they are related? It is an empirical relationship only. If you consider a magnet of 6 centimeter length, each pole is located 0.5 centimeter approximately into the inner portion. Hence, the separation between the two poles is 5 centimeters only. That means if you divide the geometric length into 6 parts and if you consider 5 parts, that will give the magnetic length of the magnet. It is an empirical formula, approximate formula. Based on practical observations, they mentioned like this. And why we designated 2L? Yesterday itself we discussed. Always distance should be measured from the center of mass. From center of mass to this pole, the separation is L. From center of mass to this pole, the separation is L. Here one point you should understand. If you keep one unit north pole here, unit north pole means a small magnetic needle nearer to the one of the poles of the magnet. This needle also can have north and south. The south got attracted by the north of this magnet, hence it is oriented in particular direction. Again you keep needle here, the needle is like this, it is like this. If you join all these points as a line, you will get some imaginary line. You will get some imaginary line. The imaginary line traced by a unit north pole placed at the vicinity of the given magnetic pole is called a line of force. Is called line of force. Always these lines of force will come out of the pole in normal direction. That means they are coming out perpendicularly. The line of force will move from north pole to south pole. Their orientation is like this. Their orientation is like this. Again they will be entering into the south pole in normal direction. Here they are coming out like this. Here they are going in like this. So lines of force are imaginary lines traced by unit north pole placed nearer to the given bar magnet. Always lines of force diverge out of the or move out of the north pole perpendicular to its edge, and they will converge into or they will move into the south pole like this. Even inside the magnet also they will continue their journey. The lines of force are directed from south pole to north pole inside the magnet. They are directed from south pole to north pole inside the magnet. They are directed from north pole to south pole outside the magnet. Here lines of force are closed loops. Lines of force are closed loops. Whereas in electricity, always lines of force diverge out of the positive charge. They will converge into the negative charge. They are open curves. Lines of force are open curves. In case of electric charges, lines of force are closed loops in case of magnetic lines of force. Always lines of force will come out of the edge of the or pole of the magnet in a normal direction. Now, suppose here is a magnet. Magnet is having north pole and south pole. Each pole is having some pole strength designated by small m. Each pole is having some pole strength. What do you mean by pole strength? Small m is called pole strength. Pole strength is the ability of a magnetic pole to influence any another magnetic pole kept in the vicinity of it. Suppose if you keep one small needle here, the small needle get influenced by this north pole. The ability of this pole to influence this unit north pole placed at a point within the field is called pole strength. Pole strength depends on the number of lines of force that are coming out of the magnetic pole. If more number of lines of force are coming out, more is the field strength. Every magnet is having some field, some region of space around it, up to which its influence is observed. Suppose this is a magnet, its influence is observed over certain area around it in 3 dimension. The region of space in which the influence of this magnet is observed. That means if you keep unit north pole somewhere here, it will not be influenced because it is out of the field. It is at infinite distance from the magnet. The same magnetic needle, if you keep inside here, it gets either attraction or repulsion. It is getting influenced by the magnet. The region of space around the magnet up to which its influence is observed is called magnetic field. Magnetic field is a region where the lines of force are distributed. In the entire magnetic field, you will observe the lines of force. In entire magnetic field, you will observe lines of force. If more number of lines of force are coming out of a pole, then the pole is said to have more pole strength. Then the pole is said to have more pole strength. So pole strength of a magnet is proportional to area of cross section of the magnet. More the area is available, more the number of lines of force will come out. Less the area is available, less the number of lines of force are coming out. So pole strength always depends on area of cross section of the magnet. Already we know that the separation between the two poles is designated with 2L, called magnetic length of the magnet. And here it is a scalar quantity. It's a scalar quantity. In order to represent the strength of a magnet, we require a vector quantity. So that vector quantity is a small m bar. In some of the books they are writing like this. Even in our NCERT textbook they used small n bar as magnetic moment. Magnetic moment. In some books they are writing it as capital M. Small m is designated for pole strength, capital M is designated for magnetic moment. It is a vector quantity. So that magnetic moment vector capital M bar over R small m bar. Bar is there means that is magnetic moment. It is the product of pole strength into length of the magnet. More the length of the magnet, more the magnetic moment. More the pole strength, more the magnetic moment. So magnetic moment is proportional to pole strength as well as length of the magnet. So magnetic moment is a quantity which is used to represent the strength of a magnet. So magnetic moment depends on length of the magnet as well as. It depends on pole strength. Pole strength is indirectly depending on area of cross section. Magnetic moment depends on length of the magnet. Sometimes in EAMCET like examination, you will be asked to do certain problems. Let us see one or two. So pole strength depends on area of cross section. Magnetic moments means pole strength into length of the magnet. It depends on area as well as length of the magnet. If I have a magnet of area of cross section A, if I divide this magnet into two pieces along the axial line, this line is called axial line. Along the axial line, if I cut the magnet into two pieces, each piece is having area A by 2, A by 2. Once area becomes half, magnetic pole strength also becomes half. So if you consider a single piece here, the single piece is having area of cross section A by 2. Hence its pole strength becomes M by 2, small m by 2. What about magnetic moment? We did not change the length of the magnet. Length of the magnet 2L is as it is, from north to south. Okay. Therefore, length of the magnet is not changed. So magnetic moment becomes new pole strength into new magnetic moment is equal to new pole strength into new length of the magnet. So new magnetic moment is equal to old magnetic moment by 2. So magnetic moment becomes halves and pole strength also becomes half in case if you cut the magnet along axial line into two identical pieces. If you cut the magnet into two identical pieces along the equatorial line, what will happen? If you consider a single piece, here length becomes L, area of cross section is A only. We did not change the area of cross section. As the area of cross section is not changed, pole strength will not change. But what about new magnetic moment? New pole strength into new length of the magnet. New pole strength is nothing but old pole strength. New length of the magnet is L only. That is nothing but capital M by 2. Even in this case, magnetic moment becomes half. Even in this case, magnetic moment becomes half. Sometimes, if you cut a magnet along the axial line into two pieces, along the equatorial line into two pieces, and if you consider a single piece here, what is the area of cross section of this? A by 2. What is the length of this? L. As area of cross section become half, pole strength becomes half. So what is the new magnetic moment? New magnetic moment means new pole strength into new length of the magnet. New pole strength is old pole strength by 2, new length of the magnet is L. You know that small m into 2L is capital M. Therefore, m into L can be written as m by 2. So it becomes m by 4. So magnetic moment becomes 1/4 like this. Sometimes number of pieces they will make. In that case, what you have to do? Some easy method or easy formula let us frame. Here is a magnet, area of cross section A and length is 2L. It is cut into X pieces along, X identical pieces along axial line, Y identical pieces along equatorial line. Along in the sense parallel to, and if I consider a single portion of this, what is the magnetic moment of the particular portion? Now, area of cross section of each piece becomes A by X. So, magnetic moment becomes, pole strength becomes, new pole strength is M by X. New length of the magnet. New length of the magnet is equal to old length 2L by pi. So, new pole strength is equal to old pole strength by X. New length of the magnet is equal to length by Y. M dash is equal to new pole strength into new length of the magnet. New pole strength is M by X. New length of the magnet is 2L by Y. So, capital M by XY. So, this is the magnetic moment of each piece when you cut into X identical pieces along axial line, Y identical pieces along equatorial line. What is the direction of this magnetic moment vector? Magnetic moment vector is always directed from south pole to north pole. Inside the magnet, the lines of force are going from south pole to north pole. Hence, we designate the direction of magnetic moment is always directed from south pole to north pole. In fact, in case of earlier discussion, we have shown atomic magnets with a small arrow mark. This arrow mark is nothing but magnetic moment vector. Magnetic moment vector is directed from south pole to north pole. Okay. So, this is about the discussion of pole strength as well as magnetic moment. The units of these quantities I will discuss separately. Now, I am having a magnet. North pole is there, south pole is there, length of the magnet is 2L. Area of cross section is A, magnetic moment vector is capital M bar like this, and its pole strength is M, its pole strength is M. If I bend this magnet like this in the middle, such that L length is available this side, L length is available this side. Here is the north pole, here is the south pole. What is the new magnetic moment? I bend the magnet in the middle to make it in L shape. So, it is a right angle. We are asked to find the new magnetic moment. The definition of magnetic moment is defined as pole strength into length of the magnet. Here length is considered as vector from south pole to north pole. In order to find the new magnetic moment, as I did not change the area of cross section of the magnet, pole strength will not change. New pole strength is equal to old pole strength. New length of the magnet is given by, length of the magnet means the shortest distance between north pole and south pole. What is the shortest distance between north pole and south pole here? This is L, this is L, this is root 2L as per Pythagoras theorem. So, L square plus L square is equal to 2L square. Hypotenuse square is equal to side square plus side square. So, new length of the magnet is root 2L. You know that new magnetic moment is equal to new pole strength into new length of the magnet. New pole strength is small m root to 2L. You know that m into 2L is capital M. So multiply with the 2, divide with the 2. M into 2L is capital M. This will go for root 2 times. Otherwise, multiply with root 2, divide with root 2. Root 2 into root 2, 2 becomes m into 2L is capital M by root 2. New magnetic moment, when you bend it in the middle through right angle, is given by m dash is equal to m by root 2. M dash is equal to m by root 2. Similarly, if I bend the magnet in the middle such that north pole is here, south pole is here, it is making theta angle here. It is making theta angle here. I would like to find the new magnetic moment of this. As I am not changing, actual magnetic moment is, old magnetic moment is small m into 2L. As area of cross section is not changed, new pole strength is old pole strength only. New magnetic length, that means new separation between north pole and south pole. I need this distance. I know that this is L, this is L, this is theta, and I need this separation. In order to get this, you just take a right angle here, and it becomes theta by 2. It also becomes theta by 2. If I take this distance as x, obviously it is also x. In this right angle triangle, sin theta by 2 is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. So x is equal to L sin theta by 2. We need the separation between north pole and south pole, and that means 2x. That is 2L sin theta by 2. So new length of the magnet is 2L sin theta by 2. New magnetic moment is equal to new pole strength into new length of the magnet. That is small m into 2L is capital M, m sin theta by 2. Whether this formula is correct or not, we can verify with this example. In this case, theta is 90. When you take theta is equal to 90, it becomes sin 90 by 2, that is sin 45. Sin 45 is 1 by root 2. So new magnetic moment is m by root 2. So it is valid. So whenever we bend a magnet in the middle such that it is making an angle theta at the bend, then the new magnetic moment of the magnet is given by m sin theta by 2. New magnetic moment of the magnet is given by m sin theta by 2. Now, one more example, let us see. Just I had a magnet, pole strength is m, length is 2L, magnetic moment is equal to small m into 2L. Okay. Now I bend this magnet into an arc shaped object like this. This is north pole, this is south pole. So if I join them, this is the center of curvature O, this is the radius of curvature that we don't know. From here to here the length is 2L, and this is sector angle theta. Now I need magnetic moment in this case. I need a magnetic moment in this case. As you know that arc length is equal to radius into sector angle. Arc length is 2L is equal to arc theta. 2L is equal to arc theta. New magnetic length is nothing but the separation between north pole and south pole. As per earlier discussion, if it is theta by 2, if it is x, it is also x, it is also theta by 2, then x is equal to r sin theta by 2. X is equal to r sin theta by 2. 2x is equal to 2r sin theta by 2. This is the new length of the magnet. In the place of r, 2x is equal to 2 into 2l by theta sin theta by 2 I can write. I need a new magnetic moment, new pole strength into new length of the magnet. New pole strength is nothing but old pole strength only, since we did not change the area of cross section. New length of the magnet is 2x. I found 2x value as old pole strength is capital M is equal to small m into 2l. Okay. Now, in the place of 2x I can write 2 into 2l by theta into sin theta by 2. M into 2l is capital M. 2m by theta into sin theta by 2 is the new magnetic moment. If suppose the magnet is bent in the form of semicircle, the magnet is bent in the form of semicircle like this. North pole is here, south pole is here. What is the new magnetic moment? If somebody asks you, here general formula is, here it makes an angle theta. Theta how much here? Theta is equal to pi, 180 degrees. If you substitute it here, m dash is equal to 2m by pi sin pi by 2. Sin 90 is 1. So, new magnetic moment is 2m by pi. We can verify with our regular procedure. Pole strength is not going to change. Here, semicircle means its circumference pi r is equal to 2l. Now, new magnetic moment is small m into 2l. So, new length of the magnet is, this is radius r, 2r. 2r is the new length of the magnet. New pole strength into new length of the magnet I should take. New magnetic moment is, pole strength is not changing. New length of the magnet is 2r. R value is 2l by pi. Small m into 2m, capital M by pi. The same thing I verified here. Here R value is 2L by pi, one more 2 is available. So answer is 2M by pi. 2M by pi is verified here. The general formula for arc shaped magnet, new magnetic moment is given by 2M by theta into sin theta by 2. So this is an idea about bending of magnet. Already we discussed the concept of cutting of magnet. Now we discussed bending of magnet. And if I combine one or two magnets, the combination of magnets we have to see. we studied bending of magnet, we studied cutting of magnet. Now let us study combination of magnets. If I take more than one magnet, suppose this is a magnet having magnetic moment M1 like this, another magnet I am keeping here having magnetic moment M2. Okay, it is having south pole here, north pole here, it is having south pole here, north pole here. What is the effective magnetic moment of this combination? The two magnets are inclined to one another at an angle theta. Clearly, this is M1 vector, this is M2 vector, their angular separation is theta. In order to find the resultant of two vectors, we apply the concept of parallelogram law. As per parallelogram law, the resultant vector of two vectors P and Q is given by root of P square plus Q square plus 2P1 2PQ cos theta. Same is the case here. Resultant magnetic moment of the combination is M1 square plus M2 square 2M1 M2 cos theta. Theta is the angle between the two vectors. Similarly, if I take the first magnet like this with magnetic moment M1, the second magnet like this, but magnetic moment M2 is like this. Here is the south pole, here is the north pole, here is the south pole, here is the north pole. And you are given this angle. An angle between two vectors must be measured either at a co-initial point or at co-terminal point. In this case, M1 is like this, M2 is like this. Theta is the angle between them, but it is not the angle between the two vectors. So now angle between two vectors means you should extend M2 and you should consider this angle 180 minus theta as angle between them. Now new magnetic moment is given by square root of M1 square plus M2 square plus 2M1 M2 cos 180 minus theta. By using this formula, you will get the net magnetic moment due to the combination of magnets. If more than two magnets are arranged as a combination, individually you should find the resultant of two magnets and overall resultant we should find. So this is the procedure of combination of magnets. Generally in EAMCET level examination, they might be asking such questions. You should be prepared to solve those questions. Now, let us see Coulomb's inverse square law in magnetism. Coulomb's inverse square law in magnetism. Coulomb's inverse square law in electrostatics we defined like this. The force of attraction, repulsion between two isolated electric poles is proportional to product of their charges inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. So like that we define. There we will have isolated charges, but here we will not have isolated magnetic poles. Isolated magnetic poles never exist. But hypothetically, let me take, if there are two poles, two magnetic poles of pole strings M1 and M2. If they are like poles, they will repel each other. If they are unlike poles, they will attract each other. They are separated by a distance r. Definitely there exists some force of attraction or repulsion between them. The force of attraction or repulsion is proportional to product of their pole strengths and is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. So F is equal to or F proportional to m1 m2 by r square. In order to remove the proportionality, I should keep a constant k m1 m2 by r square. Here the value of k is taken as mu naught by 4 pi. Why we have taken like this? It is discussed with respect to Gauss law. Okay, Gauss law in electrostatics, it has given k value like 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught in electrostatics. The same way here you will get mu naught by 4 pi. Okay, this is the magnetic force of attraction or repulsion acting between two pole pieces, isolated poles. But isolated poles never exist, but we will define like this. And similarly, if one of the pole is unit pole, that means magnitude is 1. The force experienced by unit north pole placed nearer to a given pole can be calculated like this. Then F is equal to mu naught. Suppose m1 is equal to m, m2 is equal to 1. Mu naught by 4 pi into m by r square. Because m2 is 1 only. Na? The force experienced is called magnetic field strength or magnetic induction field strength. Mu naught by 4 pi into m by r square. What is the name of B? Magnetic induction field strength. Or simply magnetic field, or simply magnetic flux density. B can also be defined as flux passing through unit area. Flux means number of lines of force. Suppose here is a magnet, north and south. So many lines of force are going in different directions. If you consider an unit area or A area, through this area, how many lines of force are passing normally to the surface? The total normal flux passing through unit area is also called magnetic induction field strength. Flux is measured in Webers, Weber per meter square. In MK system, it is called Tesla. Weber per meter square is the unit for magnetic induction field strength. And similarly, here mu naught is called magnetic permeability. Mu naught is magnetic permeability. Here epsilon naught is called electrical permittivity. Ability of a medium to allow the electric lines of force to pass through it is called electrical permittivity, and its value is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12. Here magnetic permeability means the similar type of concept here. The ability of a medium to allow the magnetic lines of force to pass through it is called magnetic permeability, and whose value is 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. Whose value is 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. So now we introduced the concept of magnetic induction field strength, which is defined as force experienced by unit north pole. So what are the units? Force experienced by unit north pole. Units, before discussing units, I will tell you one idea. Yesterday, we imagined or we compared a current carrying loop with a short bar magnet, and we concluded that magnetic moment is NIA. N means number of turns in the coil, I is the strength of current passing through the coil. So A is the area of cross section of the coil. Hence, what are the units of this magnetic moment? Magnetic moment vector, ampere meter square. So ampere meter square are the units for magnetic moment. But magnetic moment is defined as the product of pole strength into length of the magnet. So pole strength into length of the magnet means pole strength into length of the magnet is having ampere meter square. If you separate length, it should have, M should have ampere meter as SI unit. Ampere meter into meter, ampere meter square it will become. So Newton per ampere meter. Newton per ampere meter. This is one kind of unit. Other kind of unit is Weber per meter square, or simply it is called Tesla. In CGS system it is measured in Gauss. You know the relationship between Gauss and Tesla. In the last chapter we discussed. So what is magnetic induction field? It is defined as the force experienced by unit north pole placed at a point within the magnetic field, or flux passing through unit area. What are the units for magnetic induction field? Newton per ampere meter, or Weber per meter square, or simply Tesla. What are the units of pole strength? Ampere meter. What are the units of magnetic moment? Ampere meter square. Try to remember these units. If I consider a uniform magnetic field, this is the uniform magnetic field. This magnetic field is having magnetic field induction V bar. If I keep a bar magnet like this, having north pole and south pole like this, south to north magnetic moment vector M bar is there. The angle between M bar and B bar is theta. What will happen? Magnetic field means it is from north pole to south pole. So this north and north will repel each other in this direction. This north and south will attract each other in this direction. So this pole experiences force, this pole also experiences some force. Here M is the pole strength of each pole. So it experiences a force MB. It also experiences a force MB. Okay. This force will make the magnet to rotate itself into the field direction. So it experiences some torque. So it is the torque on a bar magnet. Torque on a bar magnet. You know that length of the magnet is 2L. Here two forces are acting. This force is acting on this line, this force is acting on this line. I need this distance. If it is theta, this is also theta, it will be 2L sine theta. Torque is nothing but force into perpendicular distance. Force is MB, perpendicular distance between the two forces is 2L sine theta. So tau is equal to B into M into 2L sine theta. Tau is equal to M into 2L is capital M. Capital MB sine theta is the torque acting on the bar magnet. If I want to represent tau as vector, M bar cross B bar. So torque acting on a magnet kept in uniform field is M bar cross B bar. This torque will act on the magnet to orient the magnet into the field direction. So here some work is done in rotating the magnet from an angle theta to 0. Initially the separation between angular separation between M bar and B bar is theta. This is unstable equilibrium position. Now the magnet want to come to the stable equilibrium position. From unstable equilibrium to neutral equilibrium or stable equilibrium will be attained from angle theta to 0. What is the work done? I need to calculate. You know that dW is equal to, small work done is equal to force into displacement. dW is equal to FDS. In case of rotatory motion, dW is equal to tau into d theta. Instead of linear displacement, I should take angular displacement. Instead of force, you should take torque here. Now only you calculated torque as mb sin theta into d theta. So if I want work done, I should integrate on both sides. Integral mb sin theta d theta. Theta varies from theta to 0. Theta varies from theta to 0. Initial work done is 0, final work done is W. Integration and derivative gets cancelled. You are left with work done W here. mb constants, integral sin theta d theta. Theta to 0. Integral sin theta is minus cos theta. Theta to 0. Minus you take outside. Minus mb of cos 0 minus cos theta. Cos 0 is 1. So work done is minus mb into 1 minus cos theta. Here minus indicates a negative work. So work done value can be calculated by using that formula. Suppose initially it is making theta 1 angle. After some time it did not come to the field direction. It came to another rotation, another angle theta 2. Initial angle of separation is, this is m bar, this is b bar. Initial angle of separation is theta 1. After some time it came to theta 2. Now what is work done? If somebody asks you how to calculate the same procedure, instead of theta to 0, I should take theta 1 to theta 2. So work done is given by mb integral theta 1 to theta 2 sin theta d theta. So minus mb cos theta, because it is integral sin theta is minus cos theta. Theta 1 to theta 2. So minus of mb of cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. This minus, if you multiply, mb into cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. This is the work done in moving a magnet from a orientation of theta 1 angle to a new orientation of angle theta 2. This work done by the field is stored as potential energy. This work done by the field is stored as potential energy in the magnet. Potential energy is always represented as U with a negative sign. This work done is stored as potential energy in the magnet. So the potential energy gained is given by minus mb into 1 minus cos theta in the first case. Otherwise, minus mb into cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1, or mb into cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2. Similarly, if we want maximum torque, here torque value is decided by magnetic moment, magnetic induction field and angle. Sin theta takes a maximum value 1 when theta is equal to 90 degrees. If theta is equal to 90 degrees, the maximum torque is given by mb sin 90. Sin 90 is 1. So maximum torque is given by this formula. Likewise, these are the fundamental ideas related to the magnetism which are essential for doing problems related to magnetism. In the next class, we will discuss some more ideas related to this. All of you read the textbook to get these fundamentals.